Hello, my name is Molly Yanis, and I am the founder of Echo Consulting. We are a boutique consulting firm, women owned, located in Vermont, have clients throughout the US and the world. And we specifically focus on setting up project management solutions for growing teams. So we have clients anywhere from startups all the way to Fortune 100 companies that are looking for a better way to see who's doing what, when, where, and really aligning it to the why. And that's actually why we're here today. So it is October, and oftentimes we are in the middle of crazy annual planning for the next fiscal year. A lot of our clients are actually already in the midst of it, which is great to see. Basically, looking at what is the next year going to bring? What are our goals and objectives? And how are we going to align the types of work that we want to get done to those goals and objectives? And so today we're going to be talking a little bit about how you would set that up in Smartsheet. So again, Echo Consulting actually builds solutions in Smartsheet as well as some other tools like Monday, Asana, Basecamp, ClickUp. It's not the tool, it's the process and the people. But today we're going to be talking about Smartsheet. And if you're interested in more content on Smartsheet, you are welcome to subscribe. We have a channel specifically on Smartsheet tips and tricks, lots of different information there. We also are going to be doing a live training not on Smartsheet, but on specifically how to set up annual planning, how to get the right people involved, when to get them involved, how to get the right information out there to your team, etc. So again, a couple of different options here today. I'm going to be focusing on setting up the how to track strategic goals and objectives and everything in Smartsheet. If you're interested in how to do those workshops, how to bring all the information together into a way that you can actually articulate out to your team what the strategic goals and objectives are for the next year, definitely join us for our live training. So again, let's get going for now. You should be seeing my screen. It's just my home screen at in Smartsheet, right? Whenever I'm thinking about setting up a new solution, the first thing I do is actually look at Smartsheet solution set. These are free to use solutions. There's a combination of templates and template sets. And let me just go there now. And what they do is really get you started. So if I see here, I have a bunch of different solution types. So like I might go to general management, for example, but usually what I do and see how there's some popular ones right now, like company goal tracker. I usually go here. I actually just search. So I'll say goals, for example, and then I'll see a couple of different options that show up here, right? So I see an OKR tracker. So if you're into objectives and key results, that's great. I love the word scorecard because I'm very much into how do we quantify, how do we prioritize, quantify and then measure. And then you see a couple examples here. So you will notice, see the blue versus kind of the greenish color. This is an important distinction because the template means that it's just a single data source, right? It's a sheet in Smartsheet, and they've just kind of like configured it in a way that they think makes sense. A template set means that it has a variety of different ones. So let's just look at this example one. We can look at the objective key result one, right? And I'm going to click learn more over here. And when I do that, what it's going to do is it's going to open it up and it's going to kind of take me through step by step the different components that are in this template set. And they'll give me some tips and tools on how to implement them, tweak them so that they're best for my organization, right? This big download button is that'll actually come right into your Smartsheet environment, into a workspace so that you can see it. They'll give you a quick video overview. I recommend it. I love these. This is the architecture. Echo does these for all of our clients for them to understand what components they have, right? So you have sheets, which are these blue components, right? And oftentimes these are your data sources. You have dashboards. These are green. These are forms, the pinkish ones. And then the yellow ones are reports, which means they can bring multiple sheets together or just have one sheet and have a set number of columns and things like that to be configured, right? So it'll show you here what's included in this, and then it'll tell you a little bit about setting up. The real reason I look at this is actually because I want to get some ideas for my own solution. Sometimes I'll start by downloading their solution. Oftentimes, because I am an expert in Smartsheet, I actually prefer to start from scratch. but these solution sets give me some ideas, see how other people have set them up, etc. If you are kind of newer to Smartsheet or you're familiar with Smartsheet, but you haven't really set up your own solution from scratch before, definitely start with the solution sets if you can. They'll really help you get going, and then they'll give you ideas like, oh, no, 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 I want to change that. And that's great, right? But start from something instead of starting from scratch. It'll really get you further here. The goal with Smartsheet and with any system, right, is to get to value quickly, and ideally to provide value before you're asking people to change their existing process or asking people to add new things to their list, which they're already busy. They already have full-time jobs. So you want to make sure that you're adding value first, getting people excited, and then going ahead and asking them to, contribute more. So anyways, they have some different components here, sheet filters, yes, they have some reports. They have a tracker dashboard, nothing too crazy from what I see. All right, so maybe this isn't the right solution for me. That's okay. Let me see here. I thought I saw a different one that I really liked to start from. I like the strategic plan template. I think I'll go with maybe the yeah, this looks more up my alley. So I'm going to learn more here. And I'm going to go ahead and just download this, and we'll start from here. And then I'll show you some of the things that I like to have in our solutions. So we've recently built several different annual planning and budgeting solutions for our clients. Typically, this happens. Finance really oftentimes drives it. Sometimes it's HR. But really, what happens is um, they're asking for what your budget is for the next year, and they want to know what type of work you're going to do for your budget, right? So it's kind of like a collection of projects, initiatives, different, licensing you need. But really the big piece that's often missing in that budgeting process is the why, right? So like not just the return on investment for the technology or something like that, but like what are the strategic goals of the organization for the next year? Like you need to know where you are now, where you want to go, and how to get there. And when you're putting together a budget, like you're trying to get to understand like where you are going, what you want to get to. And if you don't have those strategic objectives of like what your organization as a whole is trying to do for the year, it's really hard. Like you're just kind of putting together a wish list. So how do you rank that wish list? And that's what we're going to be talking a little bit more. I mentioned that we're going to be doing a live training. We always record that. At Echo, we believe in building self-sufficiency, not dependency. So we have a lot of free content, but that live training gives you an option to ask some questions and things like that. Echo also does offer workshop facilitation. So we've done annual planning retreats with executives and steering committees and teams. And also we do set up these solutions for organizations that are looking for a better way to do budget tracking and annual planning and really aligning the projects and the ideas to the strategic goals of the organization. So enough about that. So again, same concept. Because this is a template set, it means that there's multiple different components. This one basically just looks like a 2-level PMO to me, right? It's just a project request sheet and a project, a couple project plans. So there's nothing too crazy here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to kind of change your project list, right, into a strategic planning, how to align it to the why of your organization. So I'm going to go here. Okay, yep, this all looks great. And I'm just going to click this nice little download button. And when I do, it's going to download it into my Smartsheet environment, and that'll give us something to kind of talk through next on some of the tweaks that I like to see when we're talking about strategic planning, okay? So it just added a new template set for me, strategic plan. These are the different components that I mentioned, right? So you have a main roll-up sheet, you have some project requests, and other things like this, right? So here I'm going to go to my project requests, and they've given me some basic data, right? And what I'm guessing is that they provided me a form. And this is the form where you could ask people to go ahead and pull in information about their different ideas, right? So they've said project description, requester email, supervisor email. So if you're trying to figure out who they're going reporting up to, and then what is the strategic objective initiative that this project aligns with. So they're definitely starting to get there, which I love. And then project details, proposed start and proposed finish, right? So really this is just a project request form, not really a strategic initiative form, but they've done that extra step of adding the strategic objective, which I love. It's a step in the right direction. Okay, so no, I don't want to save. So let's go back to the main form that you've been provided. This is again the strategic plan. You can get this free from Smartsheet, and you start you out here, okay? So the first thing I'm doing is I'm seeing this list of initiatives. And so if you are actually to use this template, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to replace these initiative 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 with what your actual initiatives are, right? So I don't know, you could say, you know, build a strong company culture, right? And launch a new product and increase sales by 20% in fiscal year 23, right? And let's see here, go global. So I'm just making up some goals and everything. You have your own strategic objectives. You can add them here, right? The first decision you have to make is when you think about a project, is it only going to align to one or is it going to align to multiple strategic objectives, right? So here you have allow multiple values per cell. So if you want them to go ahead and be aligned with multiple strategic objectives, which is typically what I see, you want to go ahead and enable this to have multiple values, okay? You do usually want to restrict the list of values only. And so that way no one can add new values. This is really important when you think about reporting because you want to be able to report in a way that like only builds up to the specific strategic initiatives of your organization. Okay. So again, the way that this is set up is these are the projects, right? And the strategic objective piece of it is literally just the strategic initiative. So I think that we probably need a little bit more meat to this solution if we're going to do this. So the first thing is that I'm going to want to be able to have a review and an approval process. This is very important, right? So when a new email like request comes in for a project or for a budget item or something, the way that this solution has done it is they've kind of said, oh, you know what, hey, add your supervisor email in here, right? Usually the way when we're setting this up, like it's to teams. So whether it's a supervisor or a manager or a department, like the budgets usually roll up in a certain way. So rather than just do a supervisor email, what we typically do is we actually do like teams. And so in most cases, we'll go ahead and do a drop down, right? And so like it'll either be sales, marketing, operations, IT, leadership, right? Customer support, HR, sometimes accounting, um, marketing, not marketing, um, manufacturing. Sometimes it's retail, sometimes it's supply chain, right? So we have different clients. And then sometimes it's scientists. I mean, we have pharma clients. We have all across the board, right? But these are teams. So instead of like putting who your specific supervisor is, I'm rolling it up to how the budgets roll up. And so that's the first one I do. So you can call this a couple different things, right? Like I usually just put team or department, right? But you could also put budget owner or something along those lines. Okay, so now I'm able to go ahead and select, and in this case, the team or department that's requesting it, um, I'm usually I'm usually going to go ahead and only have this be a single select. Remember how the last time I did multiple select? Like this is the department that is sponsoring this objective. This is the one that is requesting it. Now, sometimes what happens is the requester might be sales but the implementation is going to go ahead and be IT. At this point, this is the sponsor. This is the person that's requesting this, and then you can go from there. Again, different people can do it different ways, but that's the way I like to do it. And so I'll do a sales one, I'll do a marketing one, I'll do an IT one, I'll do a leadership, right? And so I have some different teams that I do. So then you see over here how you have a supervisor approval, right? So if I go over here, I'm guessing that I'm going to see a workflow that says that the manager approval request went to the person that was the supervisor, right? So I typically find that you want to get all of the requests together before you go ahead and have that. So what I actually like to do is I like to have a multiple step process. And the way that I do that is see how here you don't really have like you have supervisor approval, but you don't really have the status of this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a status column. And I'm going to do, again, drop down list. I'm trying to standardize my data to make it easier for reporting. If I want to do those beautiful charts and all that other stuff, I need to know what the step is, right? And oftentimes I like to put numbers into my steps so that it makes it very clear what the order is, right? So, uh, um, uh, in review, right? One, do, 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 do. So the first step can be manager review, right? And then it could be VP review, right? Or you know what? This could actually be manager review, VP review, um, C suite, right? Review. Okay. Okay. So this is telling me what step in the process it is. So maybe it's not status, right? It's like step. Okay. And then I'm going to want to add more approvals than just the supervisor approval, right? So this is in review. This is going to be manager review. This is going to be VP review or something like that. Now, some of these, depending on what it is, you might not need all the different reviews. So what would tell you whether you need additional review or not, right? Probably the budget. So there's a couple of different fields that I might want to put in here. And then there's also kind of some like health and things like that. So if it was in review, and then it would be, so this is the requester email. The way I always have this, and this is important because across your organization and your Smartsheet solutions, you always want to have assigned to column and you always want to call it assigned to, because that way it rolls up across everything. So I'm going to do assigned to, right? And I'm going to have that here. And then the assigned to is going to be different depending on here. Now, again, if you want a more complex solution, the way Echo does it is we would actually have a different sheet that had the team and department and then would say who it would go to for manager versus VP and like do all that mapping. But if you want to do it manually, you can do it here too. You can have someone review it. Um, so anyways, you have an assigned to, and then the other piece I really want to do is put the status column that I originally was talking about, right? So I do step, which is like what step in the process it is versus the status, right? Because at any step, you could get approved or denied, right? So, or need more information. So status, and then again, still using that drop down value, right? So status might be in review, approved, and and then the other piece could be denied, or rejected, depending on what you want to call it. And then the other thing you might want to do is basically like needs more info. Okay. So that's one thing. So you have status, you have assigned to, you have step. These are all really important things. The other thing I like to do is actually add comments for each step. Okay. So this is just saying like the supervisor approved it or didn't approve it, right? But I actually think that we need to have, for example, a text field. And this is going to basically be managers comments, right? And then you can also have insert column to the left, and then you can have the VP's comments. Okay. And things like that, right? So obviously I can't put these in. You can just drag and drop them to be in whatever order you want. So the other piece I like to say is in the very beginning, it's really hard to put numbers, and oftentimes like the return on investment, et cetera, like requires some more budgeting. So the way I like to have this for initial is for people to think about things in t-shirt sizes. Okay. So again, going back to my beautiful drop down list, but I use small, medium, large, extra large, XX, XXL. Okay. Now it's important when you do this, right? So, budget, cost. Okay. So when you do this, obviously it's hard to know like what small, medium, and large and extra large look like. You can include it in here if you want to, but oftentimes what I'll do is I'll actually go ahead and add a column description right here. So I'll basically be small equals under or is less than 10K, right? And medium is greater greater than 10, let's see here, is greater than, um, is less than 25K, right? So you can have the different thresholds for you. Oftentimes these have to do with approvals as well. So like you could have a rule that says that nothing needs VP approval if it's under 25K. So I don't know your organization, but these are the things we work with clients on and being like, okay, so what is your approval process? What needs to get their review? What doesn't need their review? And then set up those automations, right? So again, I'm not going to do too much of this, but you can add a column description and then it'll tell you right there what those mean. You can also include it in the drop down if you have enough space. It just sometimes gets a little bit messy down the road. So again, thinking about a cost first and doing as a range. The other way that I like to do this is I will do best case, worst case, and then most likely. But again, you don't want to add the barrier to entry that the person that initially is putting this in might have nothing to do with budget. It might have no idea how to measure that. So you want them to extend in their ideas, but you want to have the minimal information necessary. Okay. So I've got to run for the moment. I'll be coming back again talking more about the way that we do annual planning and some of the tools that we do. We'll be talking about some of those automations next. Again, my name is Molly Yanis, and I'm the founder of Echo Consulting. We are a professional services firm that really focuses on helping organizations have a better understanding of who, what, where, when, and why. Their resources are working on different things. We really like to increase transparency and accountability and decrease that friction, especially of growing teams. So again, Molly Yanis with Echo Consulting. We have a couple of channels. We have some live trainings. We hope to see you there. Thank you for your time today.